What's popping? What's popping? What's popping? Welcome to No Blankets Podcast, where we engage in the raw discussions that leave no topic covered up. We rocking season 1, episode 13. We're discussing leadership accountability, Trump versus Kamala, Electoral College, and media influence. And yes, it's your girl and your host, C. West. Thanks for allowing me in your living room, in your man cave, in your kitchen. Please do your girl a favor. You know what to do and how we roll. Migrate on over to YouTube and hit that subscribe and notification bell to get alerts when we go live at No Blankets Podcast. Shout out to Miss Ely Chandler and Chandler Company for keeping our head game fly. What the dope is for doors and sack. Oh, I got a little feedback. Ronnie Cobb. He's the host of Cut to the Chase and Cut to the Chase, the Crown Edition. Shout out to my man, 100 Grand, Dr. Kenneth L. Davis, and my cousin, Rhonda. Dr. Davis is responsible for my podcast and web design. All the small businesses and the sponsors, their information will be included in the comment section below. So, show them some love and go down there and support the small businesses. If you're seeking a platform for your business to be advertised and mentioned on No Blankets Podcast, I have super affordable price packages. Also, shout out to the late but never forgotten, the Bishop Sherwood Carthen, who said, and I quote, "Never stop following a legend, but make sure you identify what one is." Yo, it's just super crazy insane out here, man. It's just been super crazy insane as we are approaching another heated political battle that's stirring the emotions within our homes, our workspaces, churches, and communities. How many of y'all have been deleted, blocked, and severed friendship and had severed friendships behind your political candidate choice? This is my disclaimer before we go and dive into this topic tonight in the comment section. If you don't agree with the statement, please do it without being disrespectful. We must learn how to respectfully disagree without cussing each other out. So please refrain from using the terms "you people," "bitch," "hoe," and "motherfucker." And don't get super sanctified on me, okay, and spiritual. Talking about Cheryl was cussing on her podcast. Because some of y'all saints, just cussed your husband and your kids out last night. Hello. Hey, man, the hottest debated question of the moment is who is the best candidate to be the face and leader and commander-in-chief of our free world, the United States of America? Have we become, or have we always voted into office personalities over platforms, tax cuts versus wages increase, morality versus freedom of choice, male versus female, white versus black? Or have the United States citizens become weary of hope and all the empty rhetoric and the promises of government, and y'all just said the hell with it and threw up the peace sign? Well, my guest tonight, with a bipartisanship appeal, will help us navigate y'all through some misunderstandings and myths about voting. Man is from the town. Yes, that's Oakland. If y'all don't know, he has worn several different hats. Now residing in Sacramento, he's worked with legends such as Mr. Hewitt Robinson and Keith Lamont. As part of the Valley Sunset Music, Sacramento's black radio station. Y'all remember KPOP. He relocated to Indianapolis, founded the A&B Municipal Distribution Solutions, an environmental service company, as contractors for Cascade Engineering in 2012, and he relocated back to Sacramento. He's running the AIOP program, which is a virtual school for undergraduate studies in the United States and in Canada. He's my client, and we've had some heated but amazing discussions surrounding politics. It's my pleasure to share the space with my brother, the Mr. Rodney Abernathy. Welcome. How you doing tonight, bro?
Thank you for having me. How you doing?
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I'm doing very well. And I look forward to this conversation. You know, we talk about it when I'm in your chair and you're doing my cutting my hair. And I look forward to us getting into this discussion.
Uh, like I said, man, I am super excited that you are in the studio tonight. I'm trying to go live on different platforms, having all kind of technical issues. But thank you so much for your patience, and to all of you guys, thank you so much for your patience. This is an opportunity for you all to engage. So if y'all have some questions that you want or some statements that you want, let us know in the comment section, and it will be all good. And again, Rodney, here we are trying to dispel the myths of um, should we vote? Does my vote matter? Does my vote count? Why should I vote? As soon as I've been talking to people about this year's or in this season as these elections are coming, and what I've realized is a lot of the narrative is coming from a place of personality and character rather than policies, right? Um, it's almost like they're echoing or parroting whatever they're hearing on CNN or on Fox without going, and learning how to fact check. So those some of the things we're gonna talk about tonight. Give a brief discussion about the Electoral College, and the role that they play in the elections, Rodney.
Well, unlike many other democracies, we are on presidential elections. We're not one man, one woman, one vote. Each state has X amount of delegates. When you vote, you're basically voting for president in your state. So, as an example, if I'm in California and I'm voting, and we have more, say, voters for Kamala, then she gets the state's delegates. So it's not one man, one vote. Now, the way it works is we have 50 states plus our territories. And even within our territories, they have delegates as well. The Northern Mariana Islands, places people don't even think of, Puerto Rico, which everybody knows that's a U.S. territory, Guam, and the other areas that are within the U.S. territory. Each one has delegates, so they all have elections. And when those elections are done and the votes are counted, whoever gets the most gets the delegates. The president needs 200 and I believe 270 delegates to win. Don't quote me on that. But the
Okay.
president, to be president, it requires X amount of delegates. And basically, that's all the Electoral College is. Now, to be the smaller states don't want to get rid of the Electoral College because they don't have votes. As an example, there are more people probably in the Sacramento metropolitan area than the entire state of Mississippi. Mississippi only has about 3 million people. Indi-
Right.
Indi- Indiana has 6 million people, which means there's more people in the Bay Area than there is in the entire state. And same thing with Kentucky and a lot of these smaller southern and Midwestern states. And so that's why there's a big battle. Some say, let's get rid of the Electoral College and let it be one man, one woman, one vote. And whoever gets the most votes wins. But if you
Uh-huh.
notice, in presidential elections, winning the popular vote doesn't win you the presidency.
That's right.
Hillary Clinton had more votes than Donald Trump. Donald Trump had more electors. He won the Electoral College, so he became president. And I don't know if you remember when Al Gore ran against George W. Same thing happened, but Florida was a point where whoever won that state, it went to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court gave it to George Bush. So that's basically what the Electoral College is and how it works. A lot of people, and many people that don't really pay attention, uh, tend to miss that.
So, so what you're saying is that when I go to cast my vote in my city, the electoral college looks at the percentage of the votes, and then they meet to say whether or not they endorse that particular candidate,
Not at
predicated on
all.
the popular.
It's a
Okay.
win or loss. If okay, so you're running for president. California has 40 million people. Say out of the 40 million, 30 million vote. You get 25 million votes. You get all of California's electors. You get all of the delegates, everyone. You see what I
And
mean?
that's
So
Republican or Democrat,
that's Republican or
whoever
Democrat.
wins that.
Whoever
Okay.
wins the
Okay.
state gets the state's delegates. Period. That's how it works. For the presidential election now, when we're in statewide elections, it's one man, one woman, one vote.
Right.
But for
Right.
the presidency, it's the electoral college. So you go, you vote, your guy wins, he gets all of the electors or all of the delegates for that state. There's a delegate count requirement to be president. When all the states come in, they're counting delegates, and you'll see it on the screen where they're showing, okay, he
Yeah.
has 120, he has 98. And the states are bringing in the results and they're counting the delegates. Once those delegates reach the presidential number, he's declared the winner. A lot of times, the way our system works, out of honor and character, when a candidate finds that they lost, they just call the other person, concede, congratulate them, and then get on back to whatever else they were doing.
And this is the part of the checks and balances, correct?
Yeah, well, it's really simple because at the end of the day, this has been the process from the beginning. The founding fathers were, I think, very clever. Of course, the United States has had its problems. We can go, and that's another show. But the way they set the system up was to do it in a way that prevented manipulation. So they
Hmm.
allowed each individual state to determine who got the number of delegates that they have. I think we're to a point where we should let the popular vote matter. Whoever gets the most votes should win. That's kind of what it should be. But this is the process that's been from the very beginning. So,
And
and it
it's
works.
kind of like you
You just have
said, when you have the smaller states, that's kind of like a unfair kind of, you know what I mean? If you have 30 million in Arkansas and 10 million in Alabama,
I think
it's not a fair, you know what I mean?
well, see, here's the thing, and
Mhm.
after dealing with the electoral college, people will say, "Well, it's not right because our guy doesn't." Wait a minute, though. We're not talking about how many people are in this state and that state. We're talking about how many people are voting in the United States of America. And in the United States of America, let's say we have approximately 350 people. Let's say out of those 350 people, 175 million are voting, whoever gets the most. So if
Okay.
you see what I mean? So if you get the
Yeah.
most votes, you should win. That's how it works for every other race but president. It's the only
Mm.
race that doesn't work like that. But again, that's a matter of opinion. You just like you said, well, I like it the way it is. My opinion, I said, hey, let's just get to where whoever gets the most votes wins. Right? So
Right, right.
now,
Shout out to my girl Janice Hunt. How you doing, Janice? There's I don't know who that is, but thank you so much for joining the No Blankets podcast on tonight with our guest Rodney Abernathy. Help us to sort out some of the things and give his bipartisan opinion about these two candidates. Rodney, tell us, when did most African Americans switch their allegiance to the Democratic Party, and why? Because back in the day,
oh,
we was Republican. So
well, yeah. So of course, and let's just say it, the Democratic Party is the party of slavery. They are the
Uh-oh.
Southern. They
Hold
are
on,
the
Rodney. I'm gonna have to get some security. Let me just call my security person. 911 security. Yeah, Rodney's gonna get me. Yeah, I'm gonna need an escort tonight. Yeah,
yeah.
they don't want
Well,
to hear that, Rodney. They do not want to hear. Democrats don't want to hear that.
well, I mean,
Democrats don't
but
want to
we're
hear that.
we're we're talking about why we switched to come
Right,
from the party of. So my grandfather, if he was to be able to vote, he would have had to
right.
vote Republican back then, being that he was born in like 1899, right?
Oh, okay. Okay. Right, right. That's
Right,
true.
right. So, but there was a shift, and it kind of goes back a little bit with Roosevelt, right? Because
Uh-huh.
after the Depression, there was a process called the New Deal that President Roosevelt, the president of World War II, and the New Deal is what created Social Security, the safety net for individuals that are working because the Great Depression left people just starving.
Oh,
With that,
okay.
and also, he also they also either created or increased the minimum wage so that if
Hmm.
you're working, you're getting a wage that you can feed yourself on. That's when all of this happened under the New Deal. Um, so that was one of the things that had people kind of leaning. It's a little more than a black thing, and because what happened is the whites that were voting Democrat, the slave states, the ancestors of those today are now Republicans. So during the civil rights legislation that started with John F. Kennedy, that was powered
Hmm.
by Martin Luther King, Reverend Ralph Abernathy, and all the rest.
Lewis
John
and all those guys. John
Hall,
Lewis, yeah.
John Lewis, Jesse,
Yeah.
and all those guys. Uh, when the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act was signed, right? Many
Yeah.
of the Southern white Democrats switched to the Republican Party because they felt Lyndon B. Johnson was a traitor because he's from Texas, right?
Hmm.
And as you know, we have Juneteenth because Texas didn't want to release the slaves for 2 years until after
Right.
it was. Then Nixon had a Southern strategy, um, and he began to make inroads down south, kind of touting this message of we are where you belong. Then the Democrats that were kind of hanging on,
Hmm.
um, when the anti-Vietnam War protests started, then there was a problem because now the religious right got involved.
Uh-oh.
Uh, yeah, so it's a whole thing. The religious right got involved, and Catholics, the evangelists, uh, they all emerged as a wing of the Republican Party. So it kind of morphed into it because now the same people that had that
Hmm.
mentality, like you could vote if you could tell me how many bubbles are in this bar of soap, people were now
Right.
were now Republican. So John F. Kennedy, being a Democrat and actually working with Dr. King and those guys in an effort to create these bills, and Lyndon B. Johnson signing them, right? Being
Right.
a Democrat was the first push that made people really become Democrats.
Because from my understanding, it's kind of like for black middle class, it was an indoctrination. Like your mama was a Democrat, your grandmama, everybody, you know what I'm saying? And so you just grow up repeating and saying you're Democrat without having a knowledge of why you're even on that a part of that party's platform. or vice versa, Republican. If you grew up in a Republican home, it was kind of again an a governmental or a poli-sci whatever indoctrinational uh, campaign that you didn't really have your own mind. We were told that if you were, back in the day, if you were Democrat, it's because the Democrats look after the poor, and they give us a little extra incentives, aka welfare, EBT, and other type of programs. And I have nothing against. First of all, I have nothing against EBT. If somebody want to take me and get some lunch on the EBT card, I am not gonna turn down the meal. You know what I'm saying? If you are a single parent or a parent and you're on welfare system until you can get back on your feet, to feed your kids and to manage your household, all is well. So that's not a shot, but I'm just saying it was kind of that kind of a mentality growing up. Republicans are rich, Democrats are poor. How do you speak
Well,
to that?
and that's a myth, right? There are plenty
Okay.
billionaire and millionaire Democrats, plenty. And
Oh, speaking of, hold on, player. Speaking of, oh wait, hold on. I got something for you. Speaking of, did I upload it? I want to see. Speaking of millionaires, oh, I didn't. Dag nabbit. Yeah, I was going to show you Michelle Obama's uh St. Martha's Vineyards, Hamptons mansion. So
well,
after she
yeah,
came from the hood in Chicago, she went on back to the mansion
yeah,
in the Hamptons.
absolutely.
I mean, no shade.
Yeah, not at all. See, that's the thing. We're Americans, right? So
Right.
we have the freedom to do what we want to do. Hey, look, if you're blessed to earn millions of dollars to start from nothing, and that's what the United States is. It gives you
Right.
everyone has an opportunity. Man, we've all, especially people that grew up like I'm, growing up in the Bay Area, and we go through what we go through. But hey, there are differences. My brother has a PhD from MIT. He's a
Right.
millionaire,
Right.
managed a hedge fund, and created it. So it's you have that opportunity. That's what the United States gives you. That's what being an American gives you. So,
Why did you decide to become independent?
because I vote for the person and not the party. I don't just go down and check every box on the party. That person has to show me that I have to believe that this individual is going to be a benefit to me.
So again, all right, that's a segue into my next question. Why is it important to study the candidates uh and what's the research tools that you use?
Well, I mean, we have the internet. And so most of the information is there. You just have to cipher to grab it from the right place. See, the thing is that you do have partisan sites, right? So if I was to go to the Republican site, I'm going to get their spin. If I go to a Democratic site, I'm going to get their spin. So I look for neutral sites like factcheck.org. It's just going to take the facts and use those facts and then make a decision based on that. You see
And
what I
also
mean?
you can yeah, and also you can go to the White House's website. And there's a lot of data and information on that site as well.
Well, that's
Um,
true. But again, if you're on the White House website, what kind of data are they giving you?
well, they have have you ever been on there?
Yes, I have.
They're giving you the data of each presidential candidate, the legislation they passed, bills that they didn't. Um, you know,
Right.
so
Factcheck.org does the same thing. So I
okay,
look for,
okay,
so just for me, I go to independent. I just look for independent sites.
okay. What is a democracy, and should we respect it?
Yes. So 1 second. Oh, so, yeah. So what was your next question?
It's all good. What is a democracy, and should we respect it? You know, you got a lot of, I think when I read the comments going into certain social media platforms just to hear uh, the digs. It's all about, they're talking about each other. Nobody has a real policy. Nobody has a real plan. It's a whole bunch of jokes. And I just heard this one cat say, man, it's not funny no more when you're making life decisions at the grocery store. It's not funny. You know what I'm saying? They was talking about, like last night, the DNC was saying, do the right thing, do the right thing, do the right thing. And I'm like, do the right thing. Yeah, do the right thing by lowering these gas prices. Do the right thing by lowering this rent. Do the right thing by lowering these interest rates. Well, I shouldn't have to be, like Cat Williams said, making life decisions on if I'm gonna pay, $173 for, a pack of soup to feed my
Okay, so
kids.
let me unpack a couple of things for you. So we'll start off with democracy, right? Because that was your initial question. And democracy really means like by the people, right?
Right,
So the people decide. We decide who the governor is. We decide who the president is. We decide who our city councilmen are. We decide who our attorney general
right,
is. We get to pick them. We get to vet them and then make our determination at the polls. We go to the polls to determine. And that's what democracy is. Now, in a true democracy, it's not just that. We have the ability because we choose, and if they're doing something we don't like, we have the ability to protest, right?
right.
Non-violently voice our
Mm-hmm.
dissension on something that we don't agree with, and as long as we're operating within the confines of the law, we're not being violent or tearing property and stuff up. We have that. That's democracy, for the
Right.
people, by the people. Now, I'm a capitalist, just like you. You're a
Yeah.
business owner, just like me.
Right.
And so when we look at these corporations and these prices, there's a few different things going on. The government doesn't really, you can't get a call from Joe Biden or Donald Trump or somebody saying, look, you got to cut your, right now, we don't really like what you're doing in your barbershop. All they're going to do is have a problem with you. Yeah, well, that's my business. See you. Click, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so this is the issue. Human nature is inherently greedy and murderous. It's just the way it is. That's why we can't deregulate, because humans aren't going to do the right thing. Ronald Reagan, in theory, should have been correct. Human nature wouldn't let it be correct. Trickle down
Mm-hmm.
economics won't ever work because human beings are inherently greedy. So here's what you have. Gas prices, do they need to be that high? No. But the oil companies right now are making like a 700-800% profit. Why would
That's
they
right.
stop? Why would they stop? The food prices, they don't need to be that high. They're that high because they're allowed to just, right now, grocery stores are making a 400-500% profit. And they're
Mm-hmm.
okay with
Mm-hmm.
it. You walk into a place like Walmart, right? This is crazy.
Oh boy.
You go into, I'm going to say their name. You go into Walmart, like I like turkey breakfast sausage, right? I'll look over
Right.
there.
Right.
Turkey breakfast sausage is $3.99. I go to Winco, it's $2.99.
Right.
So,
Same. Yeah.
we have to kind of make our choices with that, but we have to separate it because government and the private sector business, two different things. Now, we can try, you know, when people are doing that, that's what we elect people for. Because, see, we do that so that our government can put checks and balances on people taking advantage of us the people that put them there. And if you're not working on my behalf, the next time you want your job, I'm gonna try to fire you so you don't get my vote. I'm looking
Do
for
you
the individual that is going to be of the most benefit to me, my household, my bank account, my kids, my grandkids. Who is going to offer the most benefit to them? And
ab-
that's what that
absolutely.
that is my perspective. And if you're coming from a position that doesn't do that, you're not getting my vote. Period. And I'll just
So
say this.
for the
Go ahead.
mhm.
Go ahead.
For the standing vice president and president in his tenure of 4 years, can you say as a businessman that you benefited from that administration in any kind of way? And if so, could you speak to that?
Um, for me personally, my business is abroad, so I don't really care so much in terms of me personally on the business side, but we can still unpack um, how it has been a benefit uh, to small business owners. Um, we
I
can
mean,
start.
minus PPLs and $5,000 grants post COVID. I'm talking about how, because I'm trying to figure out how has my business and my community. All I see is struggle. All I see is mental illness. All I see is homelessness. This is in my community now. If I go to Elk Grove, I may see a lesser optic of that. If I go to Roseville, I might see a lesser optic of that. If I go even to El Dorado Hills, I may see a lesser optic of that. But in my where my hood is in North Oak Park, um, and being a resident of Sacramento, looking looking at my city in the from in the 60 year, or maybe the 55 years that I'm cognizant adult, that can really weigh the matter. um it's bad. It's bad
Right.
out here.
It
It's
is.
bad. You sit in the chair and you see these zombies that walk past the window. It's sad. And and then again, like I was talking to a guest, I'm not qualified to know if this particular person is suffering from mental illness, substance abuse, or are they displaced because of economic trauma? You understand what I'm saying? And so when I look at my city, Sacramento, and then go over the bridge to Oakland, and then go over the bridge to Frisco and Fresno and Long Beach and Southern California, and then see what's going on in Chicago, under this administration, and we're 4 years past COVID. I'm trying to figure out, um, how has it, what is the, when I'm trying to, help me
Look,
figure out.
hey, I'm gonna tell you, I work with the Universe Soul Cafe when I'm in the U.S. in the
Yeah,
food ecosystem, uh, founded by Tanya Mack, and we feed people um, all over Sacramento. We create
yeah,
balanced meals and just give them out to those
yeah.
that are unhoused and those that are suffering from food insecurity. Maybe they have a place or they're food vulnerable, meaning that they're not really eating balanced meals. They're eating, but they're eating ramen noodles and they're eating stuff that's unhealthy. And so I do know a little bit of something about this space, but we have a few things going because in the state of California, we have a $3 trillion budget.
Hmm.
The state of California has the fourth largest economy in the world. We have the largest
Hmm.
homeless population in the world because we have the best weather. So you don't have to worry about a tornado or a hurricane or something coming in here and wiping you out. So people from around the country navigate to get here. But there was something that really caused this homeless problem. And you have to go back to the 80s when Ronald Reagan was president. We used to have federal mental health facilities where people could
Right.
go get on the right track, get their meds, get the psychiatric attention, get a post facility treatment plan, and be monitored after they left. And he decided to just cancel that and just let them all out. And this is you go from that time now. That's why there's so much mental illness on the street. Now, in many of these areas, the feds are tasked with the nation and the territories. The states are tasked with the states and the cities with the cities. If $1 billion in this state, 1 billion, which is really a drop in the bucket in California, was taken and dedicated to building true facilities with housing, mental health, medical, they're going to be eligible for SSI or some type of benefit, like you were mentioning about the EBT cards and things like that. And they were to put together facilities like that around the state to move them, the ones they can get balanced, corrected on the pathway to maybe work and independence. There would be something they can do. The problem is many politicians, it's as if they're mentally impaired. They come with these ideas. We're going to build these small homes. You could build all the small homes you want, but if you don't really have services there, it's just another squat place, right?
Right.
They need more than a place to stay. These people need mental health treatment. Maybe some need job training. Maybe there are opportunities for them to for those that are capable to go out and work on road crews and do stuff like that. That can be done. Nobody's trying to think outside the box. But as it stands coming from the federal government, the best that they could really do is say, okay, we're going to allocate X amount of money for this. But most of the states, considering their size, they have it. They just won't vote to do it. And that's
Do you
where
think that vote? Do you think that vote is a Democrat Party or Republican Party's block? And through the history, from like you said, since Ronald Reagan,
historically speaking, from the Reagan era, especially, it's been more of a business focus for higher level entrepreneurs, where Democrats, on the other hand, have worked more towards middle class and lower income people within the way that they think. Because a lot of times, and I really believe that there is a problem within our system on how to deal with a lot of issues as it pertains to especially food insecurity and housing. So, that's hard to say. We'd have to almost pull the votes up to see who voted for and who voted against. But I'd be
duly noted.
if I was to be a person to guess, I would lean more that Republicans tend to say no more to helping those with less. That tends to be how they've operated from the Reagan era.
Why do you think that most African Americans are afraid of the word patriot? You say, I'm a patriot. Okay, so I guess everybody's conversation is depending on their social circle, right?
Let me say
Some of
this.
my social circles, because of the people that I serve, range from young adults to seniors. You can say the word patriot, and the majority of them who are the majority of my clients that are Democrats, the first thing they go to is MAGA and trucks and Proud Boys.
That's ridiculous. And here's the reason why I say that. I served in the Coast Guard. Probably some of my shipmates right now are watching because they had asked me. I'm pretty sure Mike Colangelo, if you out there, Tshapey, Kevin, you know, Nick, to be a patriot, understanding what a patriot is, a patriot is, a patriot is no more than a person that believes in.
See my flag, Rodney? Look.
Right. Yeah.
I told you I had my props.
Yeah. Well, you know what? And even as a civilian, but a patriot is a person who vigorously supports their country.
That's right.
It's a person who vigorously supports their country and does it and is prepared to defend it against all enemies. Period. That's what a patriot is. That's what a patriot is. A patriot is an individual. A patriot is an individual that would vigorously defend his country and supports their country and is prepared to defend it. That is a patriot. That is absolutely every person serving in the armed forces, serving within the Department of Homeland Security and within the federal government in immigration. All of these people that swore oath to protect the United States and to serve and protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against enemies, both foreign and domestic, are all patriots. And so it's been taken and twisted because you sit back and you look at Proud Boys and we're patriots. And so, yes, for individuals that don't know, for individuals that haven't served or that have not actually had to think about being a patriot, they just don't understand. But if somebody came and invaded this country and they walking down the street and they're trying to deal with stuff, you don't just fight with the military, you fight with everybody with a weapon in the U.S.
Right.
Because everybody's going to defend their home. And so I don't think that I don't think that Black people are afraid of the word patriot or don't feel patriotic at all. I mean, most of the people I know are patriotic. Most of the brothers I know are patriotic.
That's because most of the brothers that you know probably have served in the armed forces
and have not. But the thing is, nobody's happy about everything, though, sir. So you can be a patriot and not be happy with your government, your president, your policies, and all of that. That doesn't mean you're not a patriot. It just means you disagree with what the politicians are doing. And if you don't like the people you hired, then you try to unhire them the next time you go to the ballot box. That's the power of the vote.
That's it. The power of the vote.
And
that's the power of the vote, baby.
And if people don't vote, you don't have nothing to say. You accept whatever is given to you if you're not willing to go in and voice your opinion on why you want to hire this person. Because every time we vote, we're saying that I want to hire you. I want you to be my mayor. I want you to be my congressman, my senator, my city councilman. When you cast your vote, you're casting a vote for them to get the job. Right. But if you're not doing that, you don't have anything to say. Don't complain if you don't like a policy because you weren't part of the choice.
You know, I've been trying to get to one of these town meetings here, Oak Park business meeting and town meeting. Just it's time to get active. It's trying to be proactive. It's trying to get active in my community on a political level. So if finding out who is connected to who has been amazing. It's just been an interesting journey to see, who the movers and shakers are in Sacramento, who's really being accountable and being held accountable. Shout out to my boy James. He's James Robinson. He's always studying and weighing in the matter. Shout out to my boy Rashid Sadiq, who's definitely boots on the ground. So Rob, what's the meaning behind MAGA? And does it have to do with race divide, or is that media propaganda?
Well, and let me say this. First of all, Donald Trump didn't come up with MAGA. Ronald Reagan did. That was Ronald Reagan's term in 1980.
Okay, wait a minute. Say it for the people in the back, because when you think of MAGA, once again, nobody wants to fact check anything. They run with the theory and the story. Go ahead again, Rod.
Yeah, but that was Ronald Reagan's slogan. That was his. He came up with that when he was running against Jimmy Carter. Mm-hmm. And that's where it originally came from. It turned into that. It turned into it being in a racial connotation because Donald Trump gave the Ku Klux Klan and the American Nazis and all of this. They felt that he was there. He's the guy that came to change everything back to the way it was. Well, I'm going to go and find that water fountain, and I won't drink out the black fountain right there, the colored. I'm going to see this policy with Ferguson. When Ferguson happened, and they had that march out there in Ferguson, and these swastika carrying Klansmen and all of these people were out marching, and they're saying MAGA, MAGA, MAGA. They created it. That created that. And then all of a sudden, you're going to put this with that. We have been through enough that if it quacks like a duck, it swims like a duck, it's a duck.
It's a duck.
you see what I mean? And so it's not media propaganda. I mean, because I always look at things like, if I got 7 different stations all saying the same thing, and one station saying something different, which one is being dishonest? Because everybody's fact checked. So you don't have to just believe what somebody says, because you have people today that fact checked everything. And don't get it wrong, nobody's perfect. Democrats and Republicans say things that are sometimes not actually like that. It's like this. You may not be far from it, but it's like this. You see what I mean?
So last night, Michelle Obama wrecked it completely. I don't even know how Trump is going to recover from that. Michelle Obama eloquently came and 30. I wouldn't even give it 30 seconds, Rodney. I would say maybe 8 to 10 seconds into her speech, I knew there was a shift. It was a familiar, very familiar. When we first voted, when we first knew that Barack Obama had accepted the nomination for president, it was that kind of vibe, and that kind of atmosphere again. And here we are, once again, stirred sensationally in our emotions by a particular vernacular. If just on the strength, like you say, you're a people person, right? Just on the strength of Michelle's speech, her knowledge, her education, to me, she should have been on the ticket. Now that is a whole black woman, whole black woman from the hood, a whole black woman who's been in the trenches with her husband, who knows the game in the White House, right? To me, that she checks the boxes. If it was going to be a a female candidate or a female black candidate as a woman, right? Um, she would have got my vote.
I beg to differ on that. Here's why.
Sure.
I'm
Yeah.
from Oakland.
Okay.
Kamala's from the town. So
Yeah.
Chicago, okay, you from Chicago, come on out here and find out where you coming to. I'm gonna just put it to you this way.
Who you speaking of? Come out here. You talking about Kamala? Come out back out? Or
No,
you talking
no,
about
I'm
Michelle?
just saying that we're talking about she from Chicago, Kamala's from Oakland. It's the same thing. It's the same
Right.
thing. So and that's what I mean. I'm like, if you want to see that type of thing, we got it too. If you want that level of, what goes on in Chicago, it's happening in Oakland too. But here's the thing. And I'm going to say this, there's nobody that gets to the highest office in the land that throughout the process, especially us as Black people, because when we get into systems, we have to navigate and figure our way out and kind of fit in, because these systems technically are
You talking about code
systemically
switching?
not just code switching, but when we get inside the system, we have to figure it out, because they're not operating, they're operating with a racial undertone, right? The
Okay.
judicial, okay, she worked as a district attorney, and in the judicial, well, we know what they do. And I'm just going to use this real quick. They created a 3 strikes law, but they made the 3rd strike any felony. So
Right.
why would you send somebody to prison that is homeless, that isn't really committing crimes, but he goes to the grocery store and he's hungry, he slides in and he steals one of those the little cold sandwiches you can get, and they take one, get caught for shoplifting, yet get 25 to life. So I
Right.
don't say this in any disparaging way to Kamala Harris, but Kamala Harris going back home, going to Cal, getting her law degree, then going and working as a DA in Alameda County. So she's working in Oakland and in all the Alameda County area, right? Berkeley, Oakland, blah, blah, blah. And then, going over to San Francisco, then getting elected there, becoming a senator, and now vice president. Michelle Obama is not qualified like that. Now, Michelle's got a law degree from Harvard. She went to school with my cousin and with Karen Russell, who, I grew up with Bill Russell Jr., but that's his little sister. She's like 4 years, probably 4 years, 5 years younger than us. So, she was just like, I'm 15, she 11. Don't nobody see her. But my point is, she's more than qualified. She's more than qualified to deal with world leaders. And we got to remember, the leader of Denmark is a female. France has had 2 female prime ministers, and she's already on the world stage. She's the vice president of the most powerful country in the world. So I don't see Michelle, and not knocking her, but there's definitely no lack of qualifications in Kamala Harris to be the president. She's definitely.
We're just talking about personalities, right? You said that you vote.
No. I'm talking
not platforms.
We're talking qualifications.
Right. No.
We're talking
right.
qualifications.
But you said that you vote personalities and not platforms.
I said that I vote for the person and not the
person.
Party.
Right.
And not the party. Which
and so when you really look at those 2 women and the passion that they have.
Oh, it would be that would be tough. If I had to choose between one of those.
Yeah, oh my God. Not for me, man.
I would not want that choice.
I would run so fast to hit that Michelle Obama button.
And I can understand.
And again, that's my personal thing. But a lot of people want to know too, Rodney, who is behind Project 25? They didn't bring, they've blamed Trump behind. Tell us, I know, but tell the audience.
It's like this. Trump's not qualified to technically be president. And when I say that, I'm talking about actually understanding foreign relations and all of the things that really go into it. The Heritage Foundation, really Robert Vaught, as a co-author of Project 25, Donald Trump has given them their blessing with that. And basically what they're saying is, and I know from a time growing up, they want to send everybody back there, right? So Robert Vaught, I don't know if you've seen it, but there's a video out with him talking about Project 25. And he has, they're sitting, what his organization is doing in Project 25, they're sitting there right now writing executive orders and all kind of stuff to give to President, if he was to be elected, if President Trump is elected, they are already got a whole bunch of stuff ready to go for him as soon as he gets in office. Here go the executive orders. We need to sign these. And it's going to be setting a lot of things backwards, because at the end of the day, they want to cut back on the LGBTQ community rights. They want to cut back on the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act. They want to cut every single benefit that has pushed the country forward, especially those that are not white Christian evangelists.
Oh yeah, we have a question for our evangelical Christian audience too. But go ahead, Rod.
Yeah, so the organization, Robert Vaught, has said out of his mouth that, you know, Trump is giving them his blessing. So if they've already went in and did what they did with the abortion, and every single one of those people on the Supreme Court got on there and under oath stated that they considered that law and that no, they wouldn't change it. And it was time to vote, they did exactly that. And so if you look at the states, all of the states that had those draconian laws as it pertains to abortion, when it got to the ballot box, they lost by a landslide, meaning that abortion then became legal in the state, period. And that's every single ballot that abortion was on to legalize it won. Right. And that should tell you something, because right now, the LGBT community, the women in this country, them trying to remove the right of people making choices that we normally just make our business, it's going to be difficult, because there are people that are actually voting for their lifestyle. How is this going to affect me? You tell me that this 11-year-old here got raped and it was impregnated, and they have to keep the baby.
I don't think there is. I was just talking to my brother. I'm going to get some information, because I don't think there is a state enforcing that at this particular time. So what I'm saying to that is this right here. All right. I'm glad you brought that up. So here you are, and this probably will go out to all the pastors, right? So you're a pastor, you speak on homosexuality on Sunday, but you endorse a candidate, right, who openly says and supports gay marriage, transgender. So you mean to tell me that I'm going to take away the parents' right to get engaged with my child's decision at 13, 10, 11 years old, because this little cat then woke up and decided he wanted to be a woman. And so the Democratic liberal will say, well, that's his right. He has a right to feel, to be, and to express whoever how he wants to express his life. And I'm saying, how do you support, how do you be a Christian or an evangelical or a pastor, right, knowing what the word of God says about the matter, yet support and put into office a commander in chief that goes directly against your belief. And then you say, my body, my choice, right? My body, my choice when it comes to abortion, but not to the vaccine. Suddenly, it's not my body, my choice. So I think that I agree with um, the politics that says, um, I believe that thou shalt not kill. For me, when I read before you entered into your mother's womb, um, before you were conceived, I knew you. I had a relationship with you. Thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not kill. You don't have to kill the baby or keep the baby. And I don't feel, on the other hand, Rodney, that if a young child, and people always go to the most worst extreme circumstances as rape, molestation, or if in fact the woman's health is at issue, if the baby is causing health issues, I don't think that that woman should, um, be told by a governmental, agency that she has to keep the baby. I don't feel that there should be a law talking about, it at all. But if we're going
Right.
to talk about it, right,
Yeah.
then
So
you have to be honest with yourself. Like you can't have it both ways.
not trying to. So at the end
Not
of the
you
day,
personally. I'm talking to the,
I am
to
a
the
person that I look at it like this. So there's certain things as a man, I don't feel qualified to tell you what to do and what not to do.
right.
As you said, there shouldn't be a law, right? So at the end of the day, most of my lifetime, abortion has been legal. And so who am I? I'm not gonna make a decision about something that I have never experienced and can't experience, that women are already experiencing. That's, you know, my
Have you
position.
seen a 5 week old fetus? Have you seen a 5 week old fetus, a 6 week, a 7 week, a 8 week old fetus after it's been aborted, Rodney? Have you seen the pictures? Have
I
you
have
seen
not.
the arm? Right. And so and so it's almost inhumane. It is almost inhumane. And again, you don't have to kill the child nor keep the child. Unfortunately, we have, foster care systems.
That
Foster care homes.
and that's true. But who am I to make that decision?
Right. Finally, at the
That's
end of the
my
day.
that's my that's where I come from. I understand. And a person that does that has to live with that. And personally, am I a supporter of abortion? No. But who am I to say what a woman should do and not do? Be able to do and not be able to do. I mean, that's outside of my scope. So, you know,
No. We gotta. They're hard
I mean, I
topics.
understand. I understand where you're coming from. I mean, I
Right.
hear where you're coming from, right? I hear exactly where you're coming from. But as a man, I'm not trying to tell somebody what to do. I believe that you need to live with whatever decision that you make. If you choose to make that decision, you're the one that's got to answer for it, not me. So I
So, do
don't.
you think that the Democratic Party is the they're a liberal democratic party, especially in California? Do you think that it's do what you will,
I
do
think
what
that
thou
a person,
will?
I think the way that California looks at things is you have the freedom to make your own choice, and you have to live with the choice that you make. That's what California is.
So you would
You
say
have
that
people right
California
now.
is
You have people
is
right now somewhere on this planet dug in an offensive position on special forces so that you and I can have this conversation.
absolutely.
right now, somewhere on this planet, Rangers, Berets, and everybody's always ready. Nobody gets to give the orders given and you go. And so
Right.
these guys are over there so that, look, what separates us, yeah, we have our freedoms. And so, look, it, it sounds like an atrocious situation. And I have personally had women that had abortions without my participation, without
Right.
my, without me agreeing to it. I'm not paying for anything to do with it. I'm not paying anything because you should. I don't want you to do it, but it isn't my choice.
Right. Right.
And
If
so,
elected, do you think that Kamala, as a woman, commander in chief, do you think that she'll be effective in negotiation with presidential leaders in foreign countries who, normally forbid women at the table of politics?
man, you're not gonna forbid the president of the United States at no table.
Right.
That's why we got those guys deployed where they are. So she's
Do you
already
think
the
that?
vice.
Mhm.
She's already the vice president. She's already knows most of the world leaders that we deal with. And if you don't respect it, you're gonna respect the chairman of Joint Chief of Staff, or if we have to light you up, you will respect that light when it comes.
No
So
doubt.
what I can assure you of is that from a military power standpoint, I don't care what country you are, it's not even close. And so you can look at the trouble Russia's having with Ukraine, and we're not doing anything there. Had that been us dealing with Russia, it'd have been over in 48 hours. But see, the United States is a benevolent country. So we're not killing women and children purposely. We're not just dropping bombs on hospitals. We're surgical. And so she doesn't have a problem at all. They're going to listen to her because we're the United States of America. That's why. And
Okay. Okay.
and we're backed up, and she can back it up.
I
Because
know that's
whoever,
right. I
if
know
you
that.
were if you were the president, Cheryl, ain't nobody messing with you because you could back it up.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
And
you can
that's
back
what
it up.
a lot of people don't realize, when we're voting, that um the majority of the candidates don't know. Like Donald Trump and Kamala aren't astrophysics. They're not
Nope,
biologists. They're not
nope,
medical
nope,
scientists.
nope,
They've not spent 1 hour in the military, so
nope.
they're not. You know what I mean? So they're being led by counsel. They have this, they have counsels to,
Right.
you know,
And look, for the most part, if you have a person that is honorable, that has integrity, that values human life, that is making a decision that is based on what we believe are American principles, that's all you can really expect because no president is going to make a decision without the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines minimum
right.
advising them on an appropriate response for something. So understand that we don't initiate violence. We
Right.
won't fire first. But if you fire on us,
It's
then
all
you're
it's on
going
and
to
popping.
get,
You're gonna get this work. You're gonna
yeah,
get this work.
you're about to get what you have coming. You see
That's
what I
right.
mean?
In your opinion, Rodney, what type of person makes a good leader? Because this whole series has been
Uh,
about
uh,
leadership,
you know,
leadership accountability. And so, tell me in a few words, in your opinion, what makes a good leader?
a person that is followed, that was a good follower, a person that remembers what it was like when they were in the shoes of those they led. So a person that's honorable, a person that has integrity, a person that's not showing favoritism based on nonsense. There's one thing to be favorable based on performance. That if we do
Right.
this, I know that this person's going to perform in this way. They're not good in that area. This is what that's different. But a good
Yeah.
leader is someone that remembers what it was like to follow. Because every
Mhm,
leader
mhm, mhm.
has been that person at the bottom of the totem pole and
That's right.
have worked their way to that position of leadership. And if you've done that and you operate with integrity and you treat people respectfully, then you have an opportunity to be an outstanding leader.
So in your opinion, between the two candidates, are we really talking about moral ethics and integrity?
Absolutely, because that's you're the president. We should expect you to operate at a higher level. We should expect you to operate
No, no,
with stability.
they haven't been elected yet. I'm just saying the two
No. I'm
candidates.
just saying that if, as the president, we should
Right.
expect that of the person
Oh,
that we elect
absolutely.
to be that is president. We should expect that. We should expect that to be the way our president carries themselves. Our president should carry themselves as representative of the people of this country that entrusted him with that job.
Man, that's dope. That's on point. That's on point. As the VP, and this was a question I just got. They said as the is a VP in office for the last 4 years, has Kamala passed any legislation that has benefited middle class and low income families?
Okay, so there's a that's like a twofold answer, right? She is working with President Biden. Joe Biden is the president, right? So the policies are Joe's, and she's there supporting those policies. But they've done things. Um,
Because I
we can
can pull up right now. Let me pull
I
up
can
right
tell you.
now.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you.
Here's a list of things under Donald Trump's um, that have been fact checked that he has done for the African community. So I'm going to leave that up there for all of those um, people. And again, this we're bipartisan independents here tonight, and we're giving everybody a fair and level playing ground to make this political decision. So for all of those who said, what did Trump do for the Black community? Here's a list of things that you can fact check and that can be Googled or fact checked. Um, but again, I wanted to ask you: was there some policies that Joe Biden passed and Kamala under that administration, and how did we see them in our communities, um, on our tables, in our gas tanks, employment, taxes, interest rate, health, healthcare? What in what ways did his administration, like I was talking to one of my buddies, right? And and we were talking about school loans. You
Right.
know, my school loans as high as a giraffe's ass, and I'm waiting on, you know what I'm saying? And he said, well, he was under some kind of program. I'm under NailNet. I haven't gotten mine reduced or, vank or uh, yeah, I just haven't gotten mine reduced, or so I don't know. We're still waiting on that promise to be
Well,
fulfilled.
I know people. Um, I know people. My girlfriend got 25,000 forgiven
Did
from
she
her
have to
school.
go on a website? What
Yeah, but so
maybe you can.
the thing is a time. It was a timing thing, right? And so you had a certain amount of time to get all the information in that they wanted. And so when it was first announced, she jumped right on it. So that's how it
Mm.
worked as far as I could see, because I don't have any debt. Matter of fact, I had some debt, and I can't remember what year it was. I think 2005. They took my entire tax return and paid it.
Yeah.
And
Oh
I had
yeah.
to buy it. So they took my tax return and they paid my debt off. But
Yeah.
um, since Joe has been president, he's added 14 million jobs, um, um, which is outstanding. Unemployment, is extremely low. Um, he's We've had economic growth. The economy's grown by 2.5%, which is like outstanding considering coming out of a pandemic. Um, Murders decreased both in 22 and 23. In terms of the table, I think you look at the amount of jobs that have been created, and you look at the fact that for those that were able to, that had student loans, and most of the people that get these FAFSA and other loans are from low and middle class families because they parents can't write checks. And so
Absolutely.
it was billions of dollars that have been paid out already. So, and then some of it is slower, but I know that she got hers and two of her friends got their
Okay.
forgiven already, right? Um, More people have health insurance right now than at any other time, which is a big deal. Because what happens is if when you don't have it and you go to the emergency room, this is how they used to really get us, right? You don't have health insurance, but Ronald Reagan made this possible. You can't deny anyone that comes to the hospital. If they go to the emergency room, you have to treat them. Period.
Right.
That was a Reagan
Right.
policy.
Mm.
But when you go there and you get something small, it costs $4,000, and then you get hit your credit report, and so you have that fight. Another thing is, people that do have medical debt, they're getting relief there. That's on the back. That's part of it. So,
Is there a way that you can send me the links to some of this information? I like to be able to have both sides.
Go to
like a comparison.
Go to factcheck.org.
Factcheck.org.
Factcheck.org. Put Biden's numbers, January 2024. That's the last update. And
you heard that y'all heard that on No Blankets podcast, y'all. Man, we've been at this. We had some technical difficulties in the beginning of our broadcast. But once again, we were going to push through. We're two people that are very resilient. Rodney, I want to thank you so much for coming on tonight and sharing. Please hit that subscribe button so you can get notifications of when we go live at No Blankets Podcast. Tonight's guest, Mr. Rodney Abernathy, sir. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It was amazing. Thank you for all the game. I know that we can go on forever, but I got a bedtime. So with all that being said, we'll see you again, maybe next Wednesday. We don't know, but take it slow. Y'all love on each other. Go out and vote. Whatever your party is, whether you're Democrat, whether you're Republican, whether you're independent, your vote matters. Your vote matters. Once again, our guest tonight, the Mr. Rodney Abernathy. Good night, Sacramento.